Boys, you ready? The original show was fighting for tolerance. Our fight is for acceptance.
Let's do this. I'm excited, like I don't know what to expect.
I'd like the Fat Five to help me get out of my comfort zone.
I think my dad is lonely.
I want her to be excited about the new me.
Really is surviving, and I need him to start thriving.
How long does it take for this to accumulate?
Like 2.5 minutes.
Whoa, there's a lot going on in here.
There's no way that that's acceptable anywhere other than... God, I don't even know where you'd wear that.
Welcome back to Arise 360. Now, you may recognize our first guest as the first openly gay man in reality television. And that show that he was on, MTV's The Real World, that was way back in 2004. Can you believe that?
Ago. I was like 3.
Oh, sorry.
But we have come a long way, and he's now bringing fierce fashion and cultural balance to the new reboot of Queer Eye on Netflix.
Netflix.
That's
what it is.
What is Netflix?
I don't know. It's a new show.
Karamo Brown, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You two are the best. I have enjoyed watching you all thoroughly.
Oh, thank you.
We really appreciate that.
We just really love each other.
Still together. Now, we have to back up first a little bit and talk about The Real World, because we all remember the show. But what was it like for you being on the show and being openly gay man at that time on television?
I mean, the show was, first of all, that was my intention to set out when I did Real World. You know, I just got out of graduate from college, and it was like, I want to move into a house, drink, have fun, and just have a good time. You know what I mean? Right. And then all of a sudden it turned into this really culturally relevant moment and experience, especially for African American and Latino people, because they had never seen an openly gay African American on television before. I was the first. And so it allowed me just to step into this spot where my mother always says, what's in you's gonna come out to you, and that's where God needed you to be. And so what was in me of being outspoken and being there to support people came out of me, and it just became a great experience.
I love that.
Wise mother.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a little bit of an unhealthy obsession with reality TV.
Me too.
I mean, I've watched you in everything. Let me just tell you. I've watched you in things that they didn't even know anything about. I've watched you in the next 15 minutes.
What?
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
next 15?
Unhealthy obsession.
I appreciate that.
But now it seems like almost every reality TV show has at least one black cast member, one gay cast member. Would you say that in some way you helped open the closet door? I'm so funny.
I think every time a little bit of exposure comes and we actually get to see someone of a different race or a different sexual orientation, I think it allows the network to say, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I think about just what's happening right now with Black Panther and how that movie is selling out. I know it's not reality, but now this is going to open up the door for so many other black superheroes. And I think visibility is so important, you know what I mean? And for so long, I think white Hollywood has been afraid of embracing different genders and different races and different sexualities, and now they're realizing that it's the most profitable, and you should have known that a long time ago.
Okay, you gotta say it, honey.
And you're definitely going to be profiting off of Queer Eye, but it's been 15 years since it was on television. So were you a fan of the original?
Actually, I was. Jay Rodriguez was the original culture guy. I took his spot, and I just thought like how cool it was to see this young Puerto Rican guy trekking through New York, you know, who was talking about like things that I knew about, and enjoyed it. You know, Carson was a fun guy.
I loved Carson.
Yes, you know, he just was out there and fabulous, and so you know, it's great because I did watch it. But our show has some elements of it, but we are a brand new show. People are going to be very surprised about what we're doing now.
So you had to give us some exclusives. What's different about this iteration?
Well, first of all, you know, with my position, the first time around, the culture guy only gave away Broadway tickets, and that made sense for the time because they believed that straight men had never been to a show, but now straight men, women have been to the theater. They, you know, they're more exposed, especially with the advent of technology where we are today. People are exposed to culture all the time. So for me, with my background in social
symmetry,
therapy, I make sure that I feel the inside. So while everybody else is fixing the outside, I'm trying to figure out what is going on inside of you that is blocking you from getting to that next level in your life. You know?
Huge.
Yes,
I love that more holistic approach.
Holistic, completely, and then through that, we're also having some culturally relevant conversations that are very important. You know, especially there is a scene where I am with a white Southern cop, and who we walk into his house, and there is a Trump sign. And so for me, as on this show, we're supposed to be happy and go lucky, and I'm like, before I can do any of this, we gotta just
take it down.
We got let's get to the basics. I'm a black man, you are a white cop, and right now in our culture, you all are killing me, and I have 2 sons, and I don't feel comfortable with coming into your house and pretending like everything's hunky-dory until I address the fact of, how do you feel about the fact that police are killing black people? And that conversation plays out on this show. They kept it in, which I was so happy about. And those are the type of conversations we're having. We have conversations with men who didn't realize that he's emotionally abusing his wife because he just grew up in a culture where, like, you can say things to your woman. And for me, that's not okay. So I'm going to check you immediately and let you know, when you speak to your wife, you need to speak to her in a way that is respectful. If you want to talk to your mama like that, why are you going to talk to your wife like that?
It seems like this is much more than.
I
know. I'm like, what? All this on Queer Eye?
All of this on Queer Eye.
You guys are taking this to a whole nother level.
We are.
And it's more than just a makeover show now.
Yeah, this is completely. I mean, this is a brand new show.
Yeah, we tell people it's a make better show, and it's really making, you know, we're making people better from, you know, everyone has a jumping off point where they can grow, and that's where we're going from. We're still having fun. I mean, those 4 guys that I see behind me, we have become a family. We love each other. We have a good time. We laugh, but we don't shy away because we need it nowadays.
Absolutely.
And so I'm proud of the show.
I love the fact that you're using not only your platform, but also this show to address topical issues, because a lot of people, like you say, shy away from addressing these issues because, you know, it might lower ratings or the network might not call you back. But you are taking confrontation to a whole new level for all the right reasons.
Yeah, for me, it was very important. Like, when Netflix offered me the job, I let them know, like, I cannot be anyone who I am. And so I can't walk into spaces and just pretend that my other identities don't exist just because this show is about 5 gay men. You know, as a gay man, that is an important part of me, but I am also a father who raises my children alone. I also was raised by my mother and my sisters, and that's important to me. I'm also of Jamaican descent, and that's important to me. You know, these things don't just leave because all of a sudden I'm around 4 other gay men. And I was so happy that they were like, be you. Be you, boo. And then in turn, we tell these people we're helping, be you, boo.
Be
like,
you, boo.
Be you, boo.
And that's another difference between this show, because you're helping all the boos, not not just the straight men anymore, right?
Yes, yes. We're helping women, we're helping families this time around, which is pretty awesome. That's why it's no longer Queer Eye for the straight guy, it's just Queer Eye. And also, the term queer, you know, a lot of people, it had a negative connotation because people used to use it as sort of like a diss, sort of the way the N-words were and was. And, you know, just as many African Americans have taken that word back, the LGBTQ community has taken that word back, but I use the word queer as more as the term curious.
Yes,
and so
exactly. That's how I use it too.
Yeah, so we're making people to be more curious about their own lives and themselves and their families.
Well, I'm curious, when you said you try to help as a cultural guru.
Okay, exactly.
Well, as a cultural guru, you say you help people get past the boundaries or the things that are blocking them from getting to the next level. What are some of the common things you see happening in people's lives that you're helping, that's blocking them?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've seen is that people are afraid. You know, we live in a culture where men especially are taught that you can't express your emotion, you can't express hurt, you can't express love in certain ways, and it's shocking to us when we see a man crying on TV. It's shocking to us when we see a man be a true father on television. You as a dad, you know, I watch your posts and you are with your girls and you love them and you're showing them love. And for some reason, like, a lot of men don't think they can do that. And I think that's one of the things we got to break down. You know what I mean? Like, men should be just as comfortable as women, as anyone, to express themselves and be curious about life and just be open. And so for me, I make sure I always give them a reason to have a good cathartic cry, because I want you to let it out. Let it out.
Like a Viola Davis kind of like
tears, Viola Davis, Halle Berry that won her the Oscar when she was like, I need it, I need it, crying.
It's the Kim Kardashian ugly cry.
Oh my gosh. That is the cry.
That is that one.
Wow, you're going there.
Yeah.
I went there.
All right.
Yes.
Well, we want to go there also, but after the commercial break. We're going to take a quick break. Stay right here. Don't go anywhere.
I will.
And don't leave either. We got more of 360 when we return.
That's the ugly cry. It's the one that you're like, nobody can see this. Welcome back to Eyes Entertainment 360. We are still here with Karamo Brown from Queer Eye. Hello, honey.
Hey.
Now, you have to tell me, because this time the show was filmed in Atlanta as opposed to NYC. Was there any difference shooting in a new location, or what were the differences, I should say?
Oh, very big. It was like, First of all, the network was very smart of doing that because, first of all, we were in Atlanta, but we actually filmed like 2 to 3 hours outside of Atlanta. So that's where we lived, but we were in small towns. Like this gentleman behind us, he lived 2 hours outside of Atlanta, and I mean, he was very clear. He was like, I've never seen a gay person before in my life. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, boo.
You just didn't know.
You just didn't know. Okay?
Especially living in Atlanta.
Exactly. You just didn't know. And so, but it gave both of us a fish out of water experience. So we were all learning from each other, which was really great. So, people at home don't feel like, oh, we're the, experts, which we are, but we still have things that we need to learn to adjust, which is nice.
Well, you mentioned the experts and they're on the wall.
Yes.
What does each person, we know you're the cultural guru, what do they bring to the table?
Sure. So Jonathan right there is the funniest man alive, and he's our groomer. Tan France, he is our fashion guy, and he's actually from the UK.
Oh, another one.
Exactly. Has the amazing accent that I try to do, and I can't do it. Anthony Porowski, he is our food and wine guy, and he has a passion for food like I've never seen. And he actually was taught by Ted Allen, who was in the original cast. And then Bobby Burke, who I love to death, is one of the most prolific designers in life. He would turn this studio into you'd walk in and be like, where the hell am I in an hour? I mean, I don't know how he does it and how he creates a vision for spaces.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I kind of want to meet all of you now.
I know, right? And I love that
all
they
of your
have
best friends.
Yeah.
all of them. I love that they have like this little nook of everything you need, all in one package. Like you just come and transform everything.
Well, that's what it is about. That's why the Fab Five worked the first time around, and that's why it's going to work this time around, because each of us are bringing expertise, and we are coming in. And I think that's why it was so great that the culture shifted this time to being about the inside. Because, it's great that you can say give tickets, that worked for the first time. But like, again, I said, if you fix all the outside and if you cannot fix the inside, you'll walk away and that person's going to go right back to what they knew. And so for me, this is really important because I'm the reason why I feel a lot of these guys don't change back. They stay and they say, I'm going to continue this behavior.
Man, you make me want to be on the show. How do we get on the show?
Wait, I want to be
you don't do it. You fly.
I know. Yes, we have to ask you. Is Shannon Queer Eye approved?
Yeah, that's a good thing. You just got to think about it. Wait a minute. Why you got to think about it? I tried. Little pocket
He's like,
square.
what is this?
So we can't do that ever again.
Okay, we'll hide that.
Never do that one
We'll
again.
hide that. Little piece of paper
You
to
are
make that.
Queer Eye approved.
Of course I am, darling.
Also, the V-neck.
Yeah, doesn't work.
No more.
No more?
No more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to save my
help me out.
wonderful co-host from the rest of this embarrassment, and we're going to move on because we do have to talk about your life off the camera for a minute. Now, you mentioned the fact that Shannon is an amazing dad, as are you. You're the father of 2 boys that came into your life in a really interesting manner.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So the last girl I dated in high school when I was 15 got pregnant, and this is before technology than we had. Even though I'm only 37, like. Exactly. You know what I mean?
You back.
Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm old. I appreciate that. That's the loyalty. I love that.
Got my back.
Okay. So yeah, she got pregnant and she moved away, and I never heard from her again, and didn't know that she had my child. And then one day I was walking home. There was a stack of papers on the doorstep for back child support.
No.
And that's how I found out about my child. And she actually did not come after me. The state had come after me. So when I showed up on her doorstep, she was just as surprised and as shocked as I was.
Wow.
And she only didn't tell me because she had her own family issues, but more so she thought like I didn't want to ruin his life. And that moment allowed us both to forgive each other, heal, and we have a great relationship now. She's a phenomenal mother. And while I was meeting my child, I asked if I could have custody, and her being the supportive, loving woman she was like, yes, there's things you can provide for him that I can't. And I took custody, and then later on, I adopted his little brother, which they have the same mother, different fathers.
Oh my goodness.
Became a
That
father
takes a
too.
real man to do the step up and
Honestly
raise someone else's kids.
I have
like,
tears
that's
in my
huge.
eyes.
Thank
what a
you.
story.
I got to tell you, I appreciate you saying that, but I got to be honest, and I always say this because I think it's not said enough. The reason I was able to step up and be a great man is because I had a great woman that allowed me and supported me. Like, she was phenomenal. A lot of times as couples, as black people sometimes as well, we hear about nothing but stories of black men and black women fighting and saying, and black men tearing down black women. And for me, it's always about lifting up the black woman and letting her know how special and important she is. And I think that's what is so important about this, because she was the reason that this family is strong now. Because if she would have reacted any other way, I might have not reacted the way I reacted. But because she was the woman she is why this family is strong. And so I thank her.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
It's just the truth. It's just the truth.
Well, what's your relationship like now? Because you have full custody and you live in different states. But what's the relationship? How do you work out the dynamics of
the relationship? Is great. You know, she calls every day. And the big thing my children can't stand is, even though they're in the house with me, when mom says something, I'm like, your mother said it. And they're like, she ain't even here. And I'm like, I don't give a damn. If she said that's not going down, it's not going down. You know what I mean? And it's making sure that we continue that respect, even though she's far away and, you know, she's in Texas, I'm in California. But, you know, it just goes back again, like, for me, and I try to preach this as much as I can, because I was raised by a strong mother, by strong sisters, that the black woman is the most phenomenal woman in this world. And this is no disrespect to any other race, but I think that it's important that as black men, we shout that to the skies as much as possible. Thank you for being you.
All the powerful women out there.
Thank you.
I tell you, my same thing. I could not do half of the things I do without my wife being the
you.
support system behind making sure everything goes as planned and they holding it down.
Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah.
Hold on. Look
Shout
at
out
this.
to the women. And
Shout
this,
out.
my TV wife as well holds it down.
From two black men, we just want to let you know how much we love you.
I'm going to cry. Stop it.
Get the Kim Kardashian.
Exactly. Don't get the Kim Kardashian cry.
No, I love this so much. Guys, it's amazing to hear, though, because you don't hear it often enough. And I love the fact that both of you promote it on all of your platforms. It's phenomenal stuff. Now, I want to talk about impact, because you strike me as quite an impactful person. And
Thank you.
You started from reality TV, from the real world, and many people didn't really know what you were about before. You were just an entertainer. But you have a lot of substance to you. I want to know what kind of impact you're looking to leave on this world.
You know, I think the impact that I'm going to leave on this world is going to be defined, you know, once the good Lord takes me. You know, right now, I'm just living day by day and just speaking my truth as it comes. So, you know, a lot of this time, it's blind faith a lot of times. You know, when people are like, how do you just become a father? I'm like, blind faith, you know? I just believed and did what I thought was right in the moment, you know? And when I, you know, being on the show and the things I do on the show, it's just blind faith. And so it's until moments like this that sometimes when people are like, oh, you did this, and I'm like, wow, I guess that was impactful. But to be God honest and in all humility and truth, I'm not thinking about it in the moment. It's not calculated. It's just be who you are. You know what I mean? And so, like, you know, what the impact will be, I don't know. That's for other people to decide. I just hope that I can continue just to use my platform to inspire, to show love, and to continue to grow.
Well, you've also used that platform to create a nonprofit that's doing very well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I created a nonprofit called 6in10.org, which supports people infected and affected by HIV and AIDS. And so when I say infected and affected, it is because it's all of us, especially in the African American community. Gay and bisexual black men are the highest infected, next to black women. And so when you talk about that and where we are in 2018, why are those numbers not dropping in our community? And I think, first of all, it's because we're not having the conversation, or we think it's them who are infected and us that are not. And I think that we have to understand that it's all of our issue. You know what I mean? We have to support each other. And it goes back to, again, like taking down those divides in our community and starting to realize that we are one. I think there's something happened after the civil rights movement where we started to forget that we as a nation, as a group, as black people, when we get to come together, we are powerful. Like, there is something strong about us. And again, this is not to take away from any other race, because I don't like to race bait, and I think that other races are just as strong as powerful. But I also love black people, and I love what we do. And this organization is to highlight and show us that we can have self-care.
I love it. Look.
Pastor Karamo!
Okay? Let me take y'all to church real quick. I'm joking.
So I do have another question, and this one is about advice.
Yes.
Now, we are seeing a lot of people, and I'm glad you're opening conversation as it pertains to the stigma of HIV and AIDS, but we're also seeing a lot of conversations opening up about being gay, about being young, black, and gay in particular. So you've got people like Logic making these songs that are winning Grammys, that are talking about, you know, young men who are effectively committing suicide because they don't know how to come out to their parents. What advice would you give to a young black gay man in America or around the world who doesn't necessarily know who he is and how to find himself?
Yeah, I think the biggest advice that I would say first is to find your tribe. Because the thing is that by finding a support system, it's always easier to find out who you truly are and also to express who you truly are to other people. You know, one of the biggest fears for most people is that if I am to let you know who I am, that you're going to reject me. And so a way to combat that is knowing that that rejection may happen, which it does sometimes, but there is going to be love right here for you. It's you know, that mommy and daddy, you know, if I go out in the big bad world, I can come back to you. And sometimes it doesn't have to be your own peer groups. There's a lot of mentor groups. There are, you know, there's so many people out there that can be in your tribe and can support you. And I'd say that's the first thing, because that will give you the knowledge, and make sure that tribe is healthy. Make sure it's not like some crazy drug people, whatever. But then secondly, understand that self-love is the most important thing. That as much as you want to believe that someone else's opinions matter, that it's really about you at the end of the day. I can tell you, I just posted something on my Facebook recently. My father still does not accept me to this day. He is serious? Yeah. His loss. Okay. So I'm on Netflix, bro. I'm Coinsy. You okay?
Wait. So back at what point did you come out? At what age were you, and who was your support system?
Sure.
Because if he wasn't, then
16 is when I came out, and my support system was, first of all, my sisters and my mothers, which is why I also highlight Black women so much. But I also played sports. I played football, and my teammates. I had the courage enough to have a coach that set a culture of you will never disrespect him, which made my teammates be like, oh, you just one of the boys. And so I went through high school and college never feeling different, because I had a support system from my straight male counterparts, which allowed me to feel comfortable in any arena I went to. And so when my father rejected me, and still to this day when he rejects me, it doesn't hurt me as much, you know what I mean? Of course we would all want that relationship, which people will always long for something, but for me, I always focus on the love that I do have, and not the people who are closed off themselves, and that's why they can't be open to me.
You know what I see when I look at you? Strength.
Thank you.
So much strength. That is a lot of resilience on your part. It's amazing.
Thank you.
what advice do you give to people to have that same strength? Because it sounds easy, but when you're going through it, especially if you're young, it's difficult. It's hard. Even when you do have that support system around you, someone in your family, the people you look up to most, saying, "I do not accept your lifestyle." How do you go through
It's again reaching out. Like I probably get about 30 to 40 direct messages on Instagram a day from people saying, hey, I just want to know, like, what, you know, I'm thinking about coming out, I don't know. And I'm just like, yo, I'm here as a resource. If you like, if something doesn't go through, just send me a message and I'll respond back. That's why those songs like that Logic has, just saying, you know, like, it's going to be okay. You know, it's okay to be another day. And giving the suicide hotline, the reason that you give that is because on the other side, there's someone saying, it's going to be all right. I'm here to talk to you. It's when we get in that space where we're alone is when we start feeling like the world has closed in on us. But when you realize you're not alone, is when you realize the world is open to you.
What a great response.
Look, we just need to have him on speed dial.
I know, right?
Feeling down.
Call me, boo! Call me!
When's the book coming out? You're going to have some type of inspirational book.
We'll see. I don't know what God has
We're giving you all these ideas because you are so phenomenally talented.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's so authentic.
You all as well. Are you kidding me?
Thanks.
We're here. We're queer. We're not going nowhere.
Okay.
Definitely keep up the amazing work, and we want to make sure we tell everybody to watch on Netflix February the 7th. Queer Eyes is going to be premiering, where we can catch you and your Fabulous Five there.
Fabulous Five, worldwide. So anybody watching this on the internet, this is worldwide.
We will be watching. 7th of February, it's a date.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Continue.
We will be right back with more Eyes Entertainment 360.
We just couldn't stop talking.
I know. I'm sorry. I ran over. I apologize. That's my fault. I'm sorry.